morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, so today we need to talk about a couple of new secret rares and what might be the worst card ever. Okay, it might not quite be the worst card ever, but I assure you it is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Now, I have done the translations for these myself, but I have also checked with the lovely Antoine Boulet to make sure I've not done anything particularly silly. So let's start off with a new Infernape and a secret rare, an illustration rare of the new Infernape, of course. Crimson Haze is coming out, well, actually like 3.5 weeks until that set drops. It's coming really soon. So, Pokemon are revealing a bunch of stuff from it. And that's where I come in, and do make sure you're subscribed, of course, so that way whenever cool new stuff drops from Crimson Haze, I'll be here to share it with you. So Infernape then, beautiful artwork. Is the card any good? Well, for free energy, you do 200, and you discard an energy from this Pokemon. It's alright. The ability helps you get the energy on, more on that in a second, but I don't like 200 as an amount of damage, because 200 isn't enough. 220 is a magic number to get Pokemon V. With stuff like Roaring Moon running around, really nowadays a magic number for basic EXs is 230. We've seen a jump in Scarlet and Violet. It used to be 220 would get all the big basics. Nowadays 230 really is that number you should be aiming for. So, yeah. Not loving this, because it just doesn't do enough damage, frankly. It's free energy, and it just doesn't do enough damage. But I do very much like the ability, although, of course, it is on a stage 2. We'll mention all of that in a minute. What the ability does is, once during your turn, you may attach a basic fire energy and a basic fighting energy from your hand to your Pokemon in any way that you like. I have seen some translations floating around that it is as often as you like during your turn. If this was Baxcalibur for 2 types of energy, including fighting, I would be hyped. I've been waiting for good fighting energy acceleration. But honestly, even if you don't read Japanese, we've never seen stuff like that for fighting Pokemon. That would be a huge deal. So, no. Water tends to get this. We have seen it for fighting. Think back to Emboar back in the day, but 2 types of energy? No. Fighting? No. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. But it is still a fire and a fighting. It's not or, it is definitely and. It is a fire and a fighting every turn from your hand. Does that sound good? Yeah. But it's a stage 2. And look, we know that stage 2s can work, and we know that for an absolute fact, because I literally just told you about Blaziken. In a world where Blaziken sees play as a stage 2 that accelerates energy, this can obviously see play as a stage 2 that accelerates energy. The thing is, Baxcalibur does it because it can accelerate as much energy as you like. So you can get something like Chen Pao and just put a whole bunch of energy down and KO anything with Chen Pao. You can get the right attackers. So we know for a fact that stage 2s that accelerate energy will see play, but we also know that they will see play if you can accelerate enough energy to the right Pokemon to get big KOs and keep ahead in and win the game. Simple as that. I'm just not sure we have the right Pokemon here right now. I mean, the best I can think of at the moment is Camerupt. And honestly, Camerupt is low-hanging fruit here, but Camerupt is a stage 1 fire, 2 fire, 1 colourless, but it specifically says if you discard a fire energy to 120 more. So then you're doing 240, which incidentally, I told you 200 on Infernape is not good enough. 240 on Camerupt absolutely is. You're only really getting the basics here, but you are getting the basics here, and that's actually kind of amazing. Plus, I said this was not terrible from Palais and Fates. I'd like to be right about that. The thing is, we have already had Colossal. Now, this is not the same as Colossal, because Colossal was from your discard pile. This is the same energy being attached by a stage 2, but it is from your hand rather than from your discard pile. Now, in some ways, attaching from your discard pile is better. In other ways, in the early game, using something like Earthen Vessel can actually make this a little bit better. But really, comparing this to Colossal isn't really fair. Because it's not about the ability, it's about the Pokemon that can use the ability. Baxcalibur, in a world without Chen-Pao, would be seeing no real play, because there's no other water Pokemon around that are good enough. There are no other water Pokemon that will actually see enough play with this. So there we go. There's your answer. I'm giving it an extremely tentative 4 Wassies, but again, I'm not saying it's an amazing card now that is going to overtake the metagame now. I am saying if we get a good partner, or somebody can find a good partner in the existing pool, then it becomes a very, very good card. Outside of that, it's probably going to remain disappointing. But speaking of old abilities and stuff we've seen on new Pokemon, how about Pinsir? I love Pinsir. Pinsir is amazing. Now, couple notes on the art before we talk about what the card does. Firstly, oh my word, this art is amazing. It's, I believe, a new artist here. And it's just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. On the other hand, the regular art is done by Hayaganosuke, and I think I've been pretty clear about my love for Hayaganosuke, so yeah. I just think both prints of this one are amazing, and I love it. But what else do we have going on here? Well, we got one attack, which is hot garbage. Free energy 100, no! But for one grass, one colourless, discard all energy from this Pokemon. At the end of your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon will be knocked out. And to answer the obvious question, yes, if they switch, retreat, or otherwise leave the active spot, then this goes away. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Goes away straight away. This only works to get the KO if your opponent's active stays in the active, because when you go to the bench, all these kind of effects are removed. And we've seen this before, incidentally. We've seen this on Absol. It wasn't very good on Absol, and I don't think it's going to be terribly good here. There will be times where you play an Ino, for instance, put your opponent down to a 1-card hand, and you're fairly sure they're out of switching cards, and there is no possible way they can attach enough energy to retreat. Obviously, against a single retreating Pokemon, they just need a basic energy. But if you think they're low on switching cards, and you're able to use this with something like an Ino, then yes, it actually can be a very good attack. But this is one that you have to really, really plan out. Because if you just use it randomly, like using it randomly, you will occasionally find a game where your opponent actually can't get out the active, and that'll be hilarious. But most of the time, they're just going to switch, and you're going to have wasted your attack. What you need here is a situation where you can put your opponent down to a low hand size, or you know they're out of switching cards, then this becomes really good. It is Doom News Absol from Guardians Rising. Okay, fine, Absol put the energy from the Pokemon into your hand, this discards the energy. There is a very small difference. That is it, that is the only difference. So, that Absol, it saw a cheeky little bit of play here and there. I saw it teched into some decks. I saw it being played, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend it was a great card that saw a huge amount of success. It wasn't, and it didn't. But it was kind of fun. Also, Doom News was literally on Absol G from Supreme Victors, which did also see a little bit of play, but again, didn't really work, unfortunately. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. But you know what? Could be fun. Let's give it between 3 and 4 Wassies. Again, cannot stress this enough. This is not a random give it a go attack. This is a looking at the board state, I think this is actually going to work, and there will be times where it does. So let's finish off nice and simply with Love Ball. Love Ball is terrible. Absolutely terrible. This card is just rubbish. Remember Friend Ball? Remember how Friend Ball was a bad card that nobody really played? Friend Ball, if you forgot, to let you search your deck for a Pokemon of the same type as one of your opponent's Pokemon in play and put it into your hand. Remember how that was terrible and saw no play? Love Ball is worse. Like, literally worse. You search your deck for a Pokemon with the same name as one of your opponent's Pokemon in play, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your deck. The best thing about Love Ball is that I translated this by myself with no help. And I'm very proud because it wasn't the most straightforward translation. That's the best thing about this card. This card is terrible. Because here's the thing, right? Let's say you really want a Squawkabilly. That is a card that sees a bunch of play that you might want to copy from your opponent. Although, to be fair, even with Squawkabilly, this will literally only work if your opponent goes first and plays Squawkabilly, and then you go second and have Love Ball turn 2. Because remember, you can only use Squawkabilly turn 1, and you can search for it otherwise, but it's pointless. Well, okay. Friend Ball would also get Squawkabilly. Bibarel, very good card, sees a bunch of play right now. You might absolutely want to do that. Well, you know what? Friend Ball would actually get Squawkabilly or Bibarel. You would have a choice, whereas this only gets the specific Pokemon that is out on the field. It is a nerfed version of an already bad card. And I'm showing it to you here because, you know, it's a card that's been revealed. I've got time at the end of this video to have a chat about it, tell you about it, show you the new card that's literally been revealed like a couple hours before you watch this video. So I'm guts to show you the video, but no. This is legitimately a terrible, terrible card. And the funny thing is, I get a lot of flack for being too high on bad cards. I'm already seeing people saying this card is not that bad, it's alright in mirror matches. Not only is it basically only good in mirror matches, but it's only good for searching out Pokemon that your opponent's already got. So like, hey, in a Lugia mirror, it can search for an Archeops. Yes, it can. When your opponent has already got their Archeops out, and you're behind on the board state. Hey, in a Gardevoir mirror, it can get a Curlier. Yes, it can. Once your opponent's already got a Curlier and you're behind on the board state. And hey, it can go and get a Gardevoir. Yes, it can when your opponent's already got a Gardevoir and you're... You see where I'm going with this? Even in mirror matches, where this is really going to pull most of its weight, you can only get Pokemon that your opponent has already got on the field. So you're like, oh, you've got that Pokemon I want. You've already got it on the field. Hey, now I can get it a turn later. Brilliant. And the funny thing is, I get lots of flack for saying bad cards are good. I think I'm going to get a bunch of flack for saying this card is really terrible. I'm already seeing people online trying to defend it. I'm telling you now, this is one of the worst cards I think in the game right now. I think it's absolutely flat garbage. But I would like to be proved wrong, because that would be fun. Right, there we go. I'll put my thoughts out there. Now it's over to you guys. Tell me if you think Pinsir could actually work sometimes. Tell me if you think Infernape's got a great partner. Tell me if you think Love Ball is as bad as I think it is. Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And get shout-outs on the channel like the lovely Matt DS, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.